Usually, here on the YouTube channel, I don't talk about YouTube drama because I find YouTube drama pretty boring. But today I'm going to break one of my main rules and discuss some spicy YouTube drama. It's a couple years stale, and I'm very late to the party, and everyone's already talked about this to death. But I figure I kinda have some new stuff to add. What the fuck is up with Channel Awesome? What is up with the Nostalgia Critic? Who is this guy? What's his deal? What's up with him? What's up with this? All these questions and more are about to be answered.
What have we learned today, boys and girls? Boys and girls, we have learned that bridge has officially been burned.
I remember distinctly the first time I ever saw the Nostalgia Critic. It was back during his peak, around 2013, 2014, on a CinemaSins video. Back then, I was a stupid 12 or 11-year-old and I just binged garbage CinemaSins videos because I thought they were like MST3K, and back then I lacked the critical thinking skills necessary to realize that CinemaSins is like MST3K without the really great writing or the really funny humor or anything that makes MST3K good. So I was watching around 10 CinemaSins videos a day, just rotting my brain on this garbage content that the algorithm kept feeding me. And all of a sudden, there was this one video. It was How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey version, the shit version. And Nostalgia Critic pops in, and he tells the CinemaSins guy, hey, why don't you do your CinemaSins in rhyme like it's a Dr. Seuss book? Needless to say, it was a shitty video. I wonder if it still exists. If it does still exist, you can go and check the date and see exactly when it is I saw this. But even though I was mindlessly consuming hours of CinemaSins content, I was able to tell with my critical thinking skills what existed of them at that age. Hey, this guy's stupid. Who is this guy? Why is he on the CinemaSins video? He looks fucking stupid. Who's this Doug Walker guy? What's up with him? Why is he in this video? Why is he just shoving his stupid face in here, huh?
Right there.
Oh, who the hell are you?
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it, so you don't have to.
Everyone's made breakdowns of Channel Awesome at this point. Everyone's made a big review of the terrible working conditions, how it's basically a clown empire. It's a great example of how not to run like a multi-YouTuber network in the most unprofessional, hazardous, dangerous environment possible and just screwing everyone over. But I think something that isn't brought up much is just like how boring all Channel Awesome content is, like across the board, because it's not just the Nostalgia Critic videos that are terrible. Every single Channel Awesome video by every Channel Awesome contributor, at least for the duration of their contributions to Channel Awesome, are all terrible. They're terrible videos which give criticism and review a bad name. They honestly are like the worst review videos ever created. And this is, according to testimony, because the Nostalgia Critic basically forced everyone else to make reviews just like the Nostalgia Critic, with the exact same style and the exact same cadence and the exact same format. So at the end of the day, you don't really have an exciting network of like 50 creators as much as you have a really boring network of 50 Nostalgia Critic clones. Now, there are some contributors to Channel Awesome whose content I think is actually good. Dan Olson from Folding Ideas, for instance, used to have some kind of dealings with Channel Awesome. It wasn't much, and luckily he's been able to make his own style, which is actually competent and is actually like very interesting. Then there's Todd in the Shadows, whose content still suffers from the kind of Nostalgia Critic-induced homogeneity that we got out of that era. On last year's Top 10 Worst Hit Songs, Todd pointed out that he's a lot less angry in his reviews these days, and he wondered why that is. I think it's because he's not forced to be theatrically fake angry anymore. Like if he's angry at a song, he legitimately doesn't like it. He's not just forced to be contractually because he has to be a clone of the nostalgia critic, which gets pretty tiresome and bland and repetitive after a while.
Good fucking riddance! No, seriously, 2013 can go screw itself. Just burn the yearbooks for this one. I don't even want to record it for posterity. This was just the worst year for music that I can even remember.
Just to see all these people just pretend like they're the nostalgia critic. At the end of the day, despite Todd in the Shadows videos nowadays being much better than what he made under Channel Awesome, I'd still much rather watch Anthony Fantano or something, given that he has a unique visual style and flair and personality, and every single Channel Awesome reviewer is just the most boring shit possible. Another good example would be Linkara, Spoonie, Angry Joe. Tell me, do you ever watch those videos out of, like, choice? Do you ever go, "Ah, yeah, I'ma watch a Cinema Snob video. That's my favorite. Those are so great. Oh my gosh, those are amazing." And Brad Jones's personality is so different than Doug Walker's personality. The guys look like clones. I couldn't even tell them apart if they were standing side by side. You mean to tell me one guy is a different guy than the other guy? Despite a lot of people bashing Nostalgia Critics The Wall as maybe the worst thing he's ever made, I really think Kikassia and Suburban Nights and To Boldly Flee are a lot worse, because at least with The Wall, it's just Nostalgia Critic and he's having fun. You know, he's doing what he enjoys, and it's not like 20 people who are all miserable and don't want to be there and aren't interested in being in the movie, and you can just tell from every half-hearted line delivery that they don't want to be there and they want to go home and they're sick of this shit. At least with The Wall, it's just like him, and he can just do his thing. One reviewer who used to be a Channel Awesome regular, who I definitely don't have much respect for, would be Lindsay Ellis. Now, Lindsay Ellis, as is often pointed out, was hired as the nostalgia chick, the female version of the nostalgia critic, to review girly things. Whatever the fuck that means. I guess, like, Barbie movies or whatever? I don't know. Like, the problem was, she didn't watch any girly shit, really, or she didn't watch more girly shit than anyone else would watch, you know, because what people watch isn't defined by their gender. So it ended up just being a complete mess, and Nostalgia Chick was like, I don't want to review girly things. I'm not Nostalgia Chick anymore. I'm not the female nostalgia critic. I'm Lindsay Ellis now. I'm fancy. I make fancy videos now that are so much more highbrow and artistic than those old shit videos I made. Look at me, I'm Lindsay Ellis. This sort of pretentious identity transformation is about as convincing as how Filthy Frank just calls himself Joji now. And like you didn't make all those Filthy Frank videos. Like it's gonna fool anyone. Like you're still just the same guy. You're the same person. Like get over yourself. I mean, I don't even know why Lindsay Ellis would become the female nostalgia critic to begin with. What was the game plan? You start out as the female nostalgia critic, and then you rise the ranks and everyone goes, oh wow, you know, she began as the female nostalgia critic. All the agents bust down her door and they're like, wow, yeah, we gotta get this girl on every movie. She's gonna get the lead role because she started her career out as the female nostalgia critic. What an honorable role. What a gosh dang amazing role to start your filmography out with. That totally won't, like, leave a discernible impact on the rest of your career and make you look like a massive laughing stock. And you know, I get it. She didn't want to be defined by reviewing girly things forever. But then when she became Lindsay Ellis, she just reverted to making like reviews of boring shit, like the sequel to The Phantom of the Opera that nobody watched because it was bad and boring.
Productions in Toronto, London, Australia, and even a world tour.
And it's like, it's great that you're not just reviewing girly things anymore. You're just reviewing bland things now. Wow, what an improvement. Your videos are so much more interesting now. But they're really not. She just reviews things like The Nostalgia Critic in this bland, boring, uninteresting tone. For an hour straight, she just talks about the Phantom of the Opera sequel as if it's really interesting. Oh my gosh, mind blown. There was some really stupid drama about a year ago when it was discovered that Quentin of Quentin Reviews, which is an actually really funny review and commentary channel that puts out high quality content, it was discovered that he was messaging Lindsay Ellis and basically just saying, "Hey, I liked your book, Axiom's End. Do you want to go out for lunch or something sometime?" And she was like, "Oh no, get away from me." Now, in all likelihood, Quentin wasn't even trying to hit on her. He was just trying to get into BreadTube because he thought that would be a smart move for his career. But it really wouldn't have been, because BreadTube is now DeadTube, and you don't have to be part of this weird little exclusive club of PhilosophyTube and H-Bomber Guy to make political videos. I've seen plenty of political videos that aren't just BreadTube-y. So, this endeavor of Quentin's to get into BreadTube was ultimately fruitless, and most of the BreadTubers now are more irrelevant than Quentin, which is good, because Quentin Reviews, as I said, is an actually like competent review channel that makes quality videos. But I just find it so bizarre that Lindsay Ellis would have such an averse reaction to just someone telling her that he liked her book. Like, why would you slather your shitty novel all over every bookstore in America if you didn't want like some praise or recognition or someone to go, "Oh, I liked it. It was good." What, would you rather hear that it was shit? I mean, it probably is shit. I saw it in every bookstore for like a year straight, and I was like, what, am I supposed to respect you as this writer just because you have decades-old connections with this giant media conglomerate, and that's the only reason your book is everywhere? Because, you know, you used to be the female nostalgia critic? Heck, the Nostalgia Critic could probably write a sci-fi novel and it'd probably get fucking huge. It'd probably get on the New York Times bestseller list. You should just make a novelization of De Boldly Fleet. It'd probably get huge and probably be the same level of quality as Axiom's End. People generally look fondly on the old era of YouTube, like 2006 to 2010 is like the quality era when everything was great and freewheeling and the content was fun and nobody had a real monetary incentive. But that's only partly true. Channel Awesome was around back then and it did have a monetary incentive, and it was responsible for creating some of the worst video content that's just churned out on an assembly line with zero passion and zero actual talent and no care put into the scripts or the visuals or anything. Like, I've said before that I'm not a big fan of the edgy era of YouTube around 2016, 2017, where it's like iDubbbz and Leafy, but at least those guys, say what you will about them, were unique, and they felt like individual people, and when you watched an iDubbbz video, it would be different from a Leafy video, and maybe they weren't good, but they felt like different. On the other hand, whenever I watch a Kyle Colgren video and an Erod video back to back, they just feel like the same video, even though one's about a Shakespeare play and one's about like Wild Wild West or whatever. They just feel exactly the same. The scripts are the same, the camera positioning is the same, everything about it is just absolutely identical. Channel Awesome really was like a clown company. Like, imagine it's 2009 and you're watching videos on YouTube and you come across the Nostalgia Critic, this manic, screaming, bald man with a weird outfit. I mean, I'm not one to talk, I have a weird outfit. But, you know, let's say you see him. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is totally boss material right here. I want to work for this guy. I want to be the underling of this manic, screaming hipster dude. I want to be right under this guy. This is prime employer material right here. So you send off your resume to Channel Awesome, and you're like, oh goody, I can't wait for my job application to be accepted. Sent him my resume. I'm sure the Nostalgia Critic will really dig that. And then someone writes back, but it's not Doug Walker, the face of the company. It's Mike Chode. And you're like, who's this guy? Mike Chode? Or whatever? Who is this guy? Who knows who this guy is? Nobody knows who this guy is. Just some guy. The Nostalgia Critic doesn't own it. It's this other guy. But the funniest part about all of this entire organizational and structural circus, is Doug Walker doesn't even own the intellectual property of the fucking Nostalgia Critic. Like, can you imagine how stupid you'd have to be to create a character this successful, like a character this popular, and then just go, you know what I'ma do? I'ma sell it to my pal, Mike Chode, and then he can control my character in perpetuity. And it's especially funny because it's not like Darth Vader or a character who's like really different from the actor. Doug Walker is just the Nostalgia Critic, and you're not going to convince me that they're two different people. Same fucking guy. Like, when Doug Walker and Nostalgia Critic meet at the end of To Boldly Fleet, a lot of people claim this is a really cringe decision and it's so pretentious. But Marvel Comics did the exact same thing, where in one comic the Fantastic Four wind up at Jack Kirby's house. There's a Steve Ditko, I think it's Jack Kirby, and they go like, oh wow, you're God, you created us, you master cartoonist, you absolute fucking genius. And then like Stan Lee calls Jack Kirby on the phone, and Jack Kirby's like, it's Stan the man, and all this nauseating Marvel Comics garbage. So if we're going to accuse the Nostalgia Critic of being pretentious, I think we should at least be fair and accuse Marvel Comics of also being the world's most pretentious fucking comics company without a lick of talent or interesting thought put in. But Channel Awesome and Marvel Comics do share another similarity in common, which is that they're both extremely predatory, monopolistic organizations that take advantage of the talent of people with creativity and turn them into sterile, content-chugging robots on the assembly line. Really, when you get right down to it, what is there to respect about Channel Awesome? I understand why people respect Angry Video Game Nerd, and I'm not even a gamer, and I think video games are stupid as hell, but like, damned if James Rolfe isn't a talented guy who clearly puts a lot of thought and effort and care into all his videos and actually tries to make his reviews entertaining with his personality and charisma.
Bugs Bunny's birthday blowout! How about Bugs Bunny's birthday beating?
Like, I get why people enjoy the Angry Video Game Nerd. Why not just admit that the Nostalgia Critic is just an extremely shallow ripoff of the Angry Video Game Nerd who just tries to be overly angry and have a goofy costume, but doesn't seem to understand the nuance that Mr. Rolfe brought to the table. I prefer board games, of course, like any real Chad, because I play board games and not video games, and I think board games should definitely get a revival because it's a great series. Much better than anything Channel Awesome ever produced. Holy shit, Channel Awesome is a real clown company, just owned by clowns who don't understand basic business practice and sign contracts not understanding what they mean, and overall are just a bunch of complete amateurs. It's like watching a bunch of 7-year-olds run a company. It's like, what are you doing? You're just doodling with Crayola all over everything, and you're not making anything of value. You're just making total shit. Yeah, I don't get Channel Awesome at all, and I don't think you have to, like, admire all the ex-Channel Awesome members who are, like, you know, moved on. I'll never go, oh, you know who I really want to watch now? You know who's entertaining as all get out? Linkara. You know, just the world's most interesting and captivating guy. He sure has a nuanced and compelling take. But the really sad thing about Channel Awesome is that its terrible reviews left a mark on future film criticism and the like. And that has a really detrimental effect up until the present day even. I know a certain YouTuber, I'm not going to name names here, but I have spoken with them directly, and they still make videos like it's fucking 2011 with this snarky, quippy demeanor and these cartoon thumbnails that are ripped right off of Tada's Shadows or Cinema Snob, just these really generic cartoon thumbnails, really generic editing style, nothing that sets them apart. And they're not even in Channel Awesome, and never even been in Channel Awesome, but you can just see the influence there. You can just see the really bland, generic style, the really boring pace, just the really boring delivery. Everything about it is dull and placid and feels like it was made by an AI. I don't know. I think reviews should generally have a unique style to them, and you should be able to tell one reviewer over another reviewer and you know, get a different perspective. Like, you can watch multiple reviews of the same movie or album or whatever, but that wasn't allowed under Channel Awesome. They were like, oh, Nostalgia Critic covered this thing, so female Nostalgia Critic can't cover it. And that ultimately just leads to not having a difference of opinion about pieces of media, which is kind of what criticism is all about. So ultimately, yeah, I think running a weird monopoly of criticism videos is just a weird idea, and I'm not sure what Mike Chode was thinking, but it definitely didn't work out in the end, and it was revealed that he was a misogynist and a pervert. Who'd have thought that this company that's run like a clown car also has multiple abuse allegations against it, because it's just like the most embarrassing thing. Just a massive landfill of hundreds of reviews that nobody actually cares about, and they just binge because they're produced in a huge quantity and the algorithm just keeps feeding it to them. Kind of like CinemaSins back in the day for me. Except as far as I know, CinemaSins wasn't a Channel Awesome member, which is kind of good, because if CinemaSins videos had the style of Channel Awesome videos, that really would be the ultimate vomit inducer. Anywho, that's about all I have to say about Channel Awesome and its terrible impact on videos today, and why, if you're looking to get into film criticism or review here on YouTube, you definitely shouldn't take an example from the Nostalgia Critic. Even during the Nostalgia Critic's own time, there were plenty of reviewers, on a smaller scale, but there were plenty of reviewers who didn't work with Channel Awesome and put out great videos and great content, and most of that stuff is lost to time. But Channel Awesome videos, man, they just keep going. You can go back and watch every Nostalgia Critic video, and every Spoonie video, and every female Nostalgia Critic video, and every Nostalgia Critic twin video, and every Nostalgia Critic clone video, and you can watch every Nostalgia Critic thing, and you can watch every Nostalgia Critic product forever and ever, and never stop, and never reach the end, and never reach the bottom, because it just doesn't stop and doesn't end, and it was all a massive fraud. Okay, well that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. This one was pretty dang freeform, but I felt it worth saying. Channel Awesome really is just a massive embarrassment on the history of internet video creation, and it gets way too much credit, even in videos that try and analyze it realistically. It gets way too much credit. Every Channel Awesome video is just the literal worst. I don't know who'd watch the things. They're really bad. Anywho, that'll do it for me. Sayonara, shimp dits, or whatever. I'm tired.